So let me now go to Tom Farrell. Tom, you may know his model won an award at Al Judy's Harrisburg show recently. And Tom is here to tell us a little bit about that award-winning model. Tom, welcome.
Thank you again for having me on the show. I appreciate it. Yeah, this evening I will be featuring featuring the Best of Show winner at Al Judy's Harrisburg Narrow O meet that was held just about a month and a half ago. There were approximately 20 entries at the show. About 400 attendees voted for their favorite. And the rules were simple. Build your model within a 5-inch square without a height restriction. Hence why they named it the 5x5 contest. So of course I started with a piece of plywood, 5x5, plywood base, 1/2-inch thick. Should also say I dreamed this up to, I wanted something really unique, and I wanted something to fit on my rustic buff and old Gothic railroad. So the contest and the model fit perfectly with my scheme for a, as you'll see, this falling down building. I left a 1/4-inch perimeter around the base of the model and a little bit more on the front because I wanted to feature, at the time I was thinking a sidewalk, but at least the front of the building with a little room. I started with gluing 1/4-inch material around the perimeter to create a foundation of sorts. And I do a lot of buildings with that 1/4-inch material as a foundation because it makes a great backing for the MonsterWorks material that I frequently use. In this case, I use concrete block from MonsterWorks. They also have brick materials as well. And I put that around the perimeter, which sort of encroached on my 1/4-inch perimeter by 1/8 of an inch, but that's okay. In a 5x5 model, you want to use everything you can, every space you can. Next up, normally when you build a structure, you're just concerned with 4 walls and a roof. But if you're building a model like this, it's like building a house. And that's how I approached it. I have a general working knowledge of how to build a house from stick build. So that's how I built this model. So I marked the joist positions. I stained the perimeter with this driftwood material from Hunter Line. Then I painted the inside of the plywood black and out around the perimeter. I used an inexpensive acrylic paint to do that. Next up, since I was going to make a building that was falling down, normally buildings that fall down, the only thing left standing is a fireplace because it's masonry and it's typically stronger than the wood. So I made this box out of plywood because I was going to veneer the box with a brick. And the MonsterWorks brick on its own is not of sufficient strength that I could make a box out of the MonsterWorks material. So I went ahead and made this plywood box. Then you can see I put the joists in place there. Those are 2x10s, scale 2x10s. It's important, I always use a square, this micro mark square that's, when you build in square, things fit together better. So I glued my shell in place. And then I painted the bottom of the fireplace black because I knew I was going to veneer this and start adding things. And black does a wonderful job of hiding any detail that you might need, like fire brick or something. So then I started veneering it with the MonsterWorks brick. This is a used brick material. And I put in a second floor fireplace, put in a floor for it, just a little piece of plywood right in here, and painted it black. And then I continued veneering the shell till I had the entire shell veneered. this was the key. I had to put in everything has an order when you do a falling building. The joists have to go in, then this fireplace. And then I began painting the brick. And I frequently use this Vallejo oxide rust as a base color. Makes it for a very nice brick. There is the brick painted with a little whitewash on there to represent the mortar. And now I could begin with the construction of the falling in building. So the next step was to put in the floor. And I wanted the front of the building of course, I have no plans like everything I do. It's just in my head. I started with the flooring, and I thought to myself the flooring would be quite ragged in the front of the building, and then it would get better in the back where the building hadn't quite fallen in. I use these 4 weathering mixes because I like variation in the weathering. So I weathered a bunch of 1x6s with these 4 colors: driftwood, blue-gray, medium brown, and grayish. Then I began cutting and breaking and gluing them in place. Next up, since it was a very old building, I wanted it to have lath. And I still had a supply of this northeastern scale ship decking material. So it's pre-glued. This is approximately 1/16 of an inch in width. And that made for fast work of the lath work, because that would be quite tedious to place 1/16-inch pieces in there. Just for a little history lesson, wood lath and plaster was eventually replaced by drywall, and that happened around right after World War II. Drywall was actually invented in 1916 as an alternative to the lath. Didn't really catch on for 25 years, but I wanted to make sure I was period correct because my railroad's in 1930. So just a quick internet search gave me this information. Next up, I wanted to put wallpaper on there. So I went online and I looked for 1920, 1930 wallpaper. I found a pattern. I brought it into PowerPoint. I shrunk it. And then I thought it would be great to just have it tearing off the wall. And I painted it gray where it tore off. And I used Elmer's glue and glued it to the lath. And here you can see I'm beginning to figure out how I'm going to lean. I wanted the front corner of the building to be falling in. That was the scheme. In the back there, you can see the flooring is still quite intact. And then the front, where the building's fallen in, the weather's taken its toll. So this is just like building a house, you know. The same 16-inch centers. Same doubling of the boards on the top. I put a 4x4 in the corner for strength. I'm going quick tonight because we're on a time crunch. I began weathering it. You can see I painted my blocks gray, and then I put a black wash on there. And I started with this green acrylic wash I came up with. Then we did a big jump here. I put in some stairs that were half in there. I put in additional flooring. You can see it's getting quite decrepit at this point. This model consumed an enormous amount of strip wood, and each piece had to be placed one at a time with typically super glue. Sometimes I'd use yellow glue, but it was a very time-consuming model because it isn't 4 walls and a roof. It's individual boards, joists, lath work, all kinds of stuff. There's the, we'll call it the eastern side of the building. Each one of these strips was scraped with a razor saw so that I had some grain showing. And I wanted to show it just like some of them were just falling down on the side. You know, the whole corner of the building's falling down was the concept. The second floor, I went with a lighter wallpaper because, to be honest, on the first floor, I thought that was too dark of a wallpaper. So I found a 1920s wallpaper that I brought into PowerPoint, shrunk it down, and You'll see where I put it up in a moment. So there'll be a better shot. This is really featuring the outside wall. See the randomness to this in color. You know, the novice would make everything green or everything white. I just like to make all this variation. It comes off really nice with all these different shades and colors and length of boards. And now this is the iconic second floor. This has John Allen, Al Judy, and Mr. Littlefield. It's just a nice feature. These are three modelers that I greatly admire, and I wanted to feature them in this model. Plus, I didn't think it would hurt to have Al's picture in his own show. But and here's the beginning of the roofing. This is the same. I put studs across here. This is the beginning of the corner of the building falling in. There's another closer photograph. I mean, it really does look decrepit, you know. And this construction might not be exactly to Hoyle, but it's believable, is one way to look at it. There's up close. They all had to be individually placed. You know, this took some time. Then for the back roof, I had no piece larger than a 4x8. I took some very thin 1/16 inch plywood, and I just glued random pieces of 4x8 material. Some of it I split. And then I put shingles on, paper, just a whole variety of things to make this roof just look like it was well worn. That's a very high magnification, but it stands up to the magnification and certainly looks great at a typical viewing distance. These are just real cedar shakes. This is more of the 1x6s. This is just tar paper. There's the finished model. I thought it should have a clever name. The Whistle Stop Saloon has a little train here for the O. Stop in and wet your whistle. Some brainstorm I had one evening for that. And then I had these guys, these hobos, homeless guys in there. I have a fire going. One guy's warming himself. This guy's leaping out. I'll show you a close-up of these signs in a moment. There's the finished side of the building. This has a frequently I work with base colors, and then when I'm all done with the model, I go back and add what I call a toning. So everything is in harmony as far as colors are concerned. No green or no brown stands out. There's this general bleakness to this was the idea. And the back, I thought I'd put these advertisements back there, which helps date your model. You know, this old steam locomotive, this truck, this old marine poster, Lucky Strikes. It just helps center your model on a specific year. And there's that roof. That roof really came out neat. There's a close-up of the advertisements. These are just off the internet. Thought it would be kind of neat to put a locomotive on there. So we've got our concrete block, our lath. We've got this corner, a little bit of siding left. Stock prices collapse again. Since it's 1930, the stock market crashed. I got a condemned sign here. All persons keep away. Of course, these guys pay no attention to that. The door leaning against the side of the building, some debris here on the ground, made for very effective. There's your staircase. Another close-up. This was just an old magazine I found online and collapsed it to micro size on PowerPoint, printed it out and put it there. I featured some broken glass here, which is just plastic. These are artista figures that are bought. This guy's warming himself on the fire. There's a close-up of my three heroes. And there's the sign, the Whistle Stop Saloon, all made on PowerPoint. I just picked a period font, and it looks pretty realistic. There's the second floor fireplace. all the floor, the brick, just totally everything stained and water damaged. And, you know, that's this. There's the, absolutely the finished model. So, I'd never entered a contest before, and I wanted to just do the very best building I could. And it took a little while and consumed a lot of wood, but I'm very pleased with the results.
It's a
That's
beautiful
it.
model. Beautiful model. Thank you so much for sharing it with us, Tom. We really do appreciate it. Does anybody have any questions for Tom?
I have one. It's Pat here, Tom.
Yeah.
I bet you find it more difficult to build a rundown, beat up old building than a regular building.
That is by, not an exaggeration, by a 10 factor.
Mm-hmm.
It's not only that you have to detail the studs and the everything on the inside, but then you have to make it look realistic. And lots of people do burned out buildings.
Yes.
I did not want to do the cliche, if you will, of a burned out building. I just wanted it to be a fallen in building.
Mm-hmm.
Because a burned out building gives you more license to be sloppy because you've got black everywhere, so it hides detail. This has to hold up to, you know, close-ups.
Mm-hmm.
And that, yes, it was very difficult to make, and I'm not ready to make one for a while.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah,
Well, it's a gorgeous building, Tom. Thank you so much for sharing it with us.
thank you.